I was in the Marine Corps in 1968 and landed in Vietnam. Later down the road, I ran into some Vietnamese people that lived in the USA, and they told me that 1968 was a bad year.
Most times you cause me pain. Trouble is, now you're gone, you come back again. Given time, all things heal, though they leave their scars. There's no second guessing here, cause we went that far. I wonder if people really know changes that come about when you give all you got to give and you still feel left out. We got by. We survived.
I had an experience that I thought was supposed to be part of the American culture and helping do things, and then I come home and the country's divided, and I'm lost in the division. I don't even know where I'm at. I found an old American flag, you know, just a little one, and it was already cracked and broken, and everything was almost rotten. As I was looking at it, I noticed that there was a split in the stars part of the American flag. And I painted a Vietnamese flag inside of that spot. And then, because it seemed like to me that whole war divided the country. When I mounted it, there was some room for some of the red to bleed out and bleed right into the stripes, stars and stripes, because that's all. As it divided the country, it also created a lot of bloodshed. The journey home is harder than going to war. The journey back is a lifelong process. Well, I went to the vet center. I needed some help. There's something not working right. I just couldn't get it together. I used to just hang out at the airport for over a year after I came back, pretending like I just landed, and I'd wait for an airplane to come, and the people would come out, and I'd jump up in the crowd, and I'd walk with them to the end, and I'd say to myself, okay, I'm really going to get it together today. This is the day. This is the day. And I'd make these trips out to the airport once a month, maybe, for over a year. And it always seemed like I just couldn't get it together. That mental turmoil was constant. It never went away. It still doesn't go away, but I have to fill it with something. So the journey was to find it. What is it? What's going to help me bring me back? What's going to I look in hindsight now, I see myself in the process, and it was art that did it. Another art piece I did back in the old days for the healing. It's kind of my idea of what happened to us every morning. We'd have a kind of a little lottery system set up. And then he'd go, "Okay, man, line up. We're having a lottery today." Kind of represents who's going to get shot, who's going to die. Looks like number 6. Who's number 6? Sorry, man. Okay. Anybody else? Number 8. Who's number 8? Sorry, man. That's what it felt like to me. And so I started putting these things together. The first one was an Asian gardener, and he had a hole in his hand, and he's metal, and he'd stand and he'd rake. I was building him. I was in the driveway welding, and I'd bend him and I'd throw him down on the ground, and I'd bend him and I'd stand him up and I'd look at him and I'd go, "You're not right." And I'd throw him back down. And it was almost like we were having hand-to-hand combat with a piece of metal that was reverting back to a time in overseas. But it was a healing thing because we weren't really hurting each other. I was building him. And so inside of me was getting this stuff out that I wasn't sure what it was. It was just felt good. And finally I stood him up, and there he was. He was right where I wanted him to be. And I'm at the end of my line. I'm 20 feet away from where I started. Totally into this thing. And yeah. So that was one piece. And then there's been several since then that have just went right into my core and helped me deal with some of that trauma or insanity or chaos or whatever went on in that combat situation. That's what I was looking for, is something constructive all my life after being in destruction. Is it destruction or destruction? It's destruct. Destructive. I was stuck in a destructive mode. I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. At the time, I didn't know what was going on. But in the process of trying to figure out what was going on, this is where I would, be walking down the road with a to-go bag, trying to catch a ride to school or work or wherever, because my trucks broke down. And I'd find these gadgets laying on the side of the road, and I had my go bag, and I'd just pick it up and throw it in. And I don't know why I was doing that. I thought maybe I was helping clean up the highway, but the stuff I was attracted to it. And I was picking it up, taking it home, and piling it up in a little pile, and then about a week later I'd start putting it together like it was a puzzle. Just sitting there, little weird stuff. years old, and they were trying to give me some work experience because they wanted me to get a full-time job because I'd never had one. And I was sitting in this place where there was all these pregnant girls, and that was the scariest job I ever had. And the lady would say, "Okay, Kel, would you mind cutting these hearts out for us for Valentine's Day?" And I'm sitting in the back room while the gals are in class, and I'm sitting there going, "Look at this, ex-Marine, combat, cutting out paper hearts." I must be getting soft. And so, I started opening up to all kinds of other things. I just never imagined myself doing that. I mean, how do you take your mental mind and put whatever the war was to the civilian life? Because everything I do in the civilian life had nothing, doesn't even amount to anything to the adrenaline flow that happened in combat and the chaos and everything. And once I stopped drinking, of course, then I stopped making chaos. And then I was able to try to get back on track to what I really want or need for myself in life, which is calm, quiet. Here I am. After I got sober, I found myself that I had this tight wrap around me to keep me from getting in danger. And also I put myself into a bunker with no windows and no light and no color and no life. So by finally, wondering what's out there, sticking a hole through the two sandbags, I saw something out there that was bright. It scared the holy hell out of me, but it also intrigued me. I looked at it as it was life. It was colorful life. I want more of that, I thought. I went out of the bunker one day, I stood there and I looked around and went, "Oh my God, what is this? This is excellent." Whew, that was enough. Okay, that was enough. Whew. What was that? And pulled me back out again. Finally, I went out and I stayed out further, a little longer. I started enjoying it, but I ran back. Pretty soon, after so many times of doing that, I said, "What am I running back to?" I said, "I'm running back to a funky, mildewy, smelly, dark hole to keep myself safe from what? I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to blow this bunker up, and I'm going to stay out there, and I'm going to do things. I'm going to stop saying, this is my safe spot. I need to go out."
So where are we going today, Kel?
We're going to Langlois. There's a big old kind of an estate sale up there. Perfect, right there.
I got another one bigger.
I forgot to bring my basket. Don't need to. It's all taken care of. Look at this.
This is an old hoist lift filled with hunks of nice steel. An old big pan.
There's one you missed. I found it though. I'm in hog heaven. stuff is part of the fun. It's a big piece. That's what I wanted to get to, is that fact that when I buy this stuff, I told you, when I buy this stuff or find it, I'm attracted to it. I have no idea what it's going to be used for other than I'm attracted to it. I started finding it at Goodwill. And then I found it at Salvation Army, out in their back piles. Stuff that's about one step away from the salvage yard. Then I started hitting salvage yards and finding stuff.
Expensive. What do you want off of it?
I'll just buy that whole thing.
Yeah, I
right
mean, it would be cheaper for you to buy the whole thing
Yeah, that
than to have him fire up a torch.
Right, I think it's a small thing. So some days I tear things apart because that's what I need to stock. That's why I buy all this stuff, so I can have it sitting here when I need it. Tear this whole thing apart. Ah, yeah. There's a challenge. There's a way. When I was a kid, young kid, my dad and I would always want to see what the internal stuff was. You know, we had a broken clock or something like that, and my dad would say, "Well, let's take it apart." So I'd take it apart. And just saw all kinds of interesting things inside. Never, ever put too much back together, but the memory of taking things apart with him was pretty great, and I am still doing it. But today, I'm putting it back together in a different way. What I was going to say to you outside is that all my life, even though I liked doing this stuff from way back in 1974, this was a sideline thing. It was a thing for relaxation, no matter where I was at. And I've always wanted to move into it as my thing, getting to that goal of making art. And I'm there now, and this stuff is just starting to pop open. And I've been wanting this all my life, so all I'm going to do is be down here making stuff. Started seeing something in that gas pump thing. So I thought, oh, I better get that gas pump thing down. Put it over there. Turned it this way, turned it that way. Stuck a head in there. So I'm looking at it. I'm seeing what these pieces want to be, one at a time. But what I was meaning was that I was starting to see all of this stuff that I've been accumulating. I'm starting to see things in it, and I'm having what I call fun. Now taking the pieces of the puzzle, 2,000 pieces, and starting to put them together, little by little. And that there's a big, huge excitement in that because I didn't know what I was going to do with all this stuff. I just bought it because I was attracted to it. This is the Seed Planting 60. It's actually an art piece made out of a, well, I used to carry a 60 overseas, M60 that is, machine gun. This is made out of an old nail gun, parts of it, and a cane, of course, because when you never know if you're going to end up needing one of these. Might even need a whole new leg. This is a film can. This is where my memories are stored. Memories of the war, that is. This is like an old meat grinder piece here, because that's what these things do. They grind. Anyway, when I was building this, I just started shaking because it felt so real. And I built it at the time of when those guys were messing around in Congress about shutting down the government and all that. All of a sudden this thing just popped out. After the first day, as it started clipping together, you know, I lost my nausea and my shaking, scary feeling. And just put it together. And I really like it. Feels good. And that's, so it's another piece. There it is. Seed Planting 60. Spoon Fed is kind of directed at the dangers of using drugs. Kind of represents, you know, the old grenade thing, of course. That's what we call the top of a grenade, is a spoon. Also has to do with what's going on in the world today with addiction. So you can heat up your little heroin or whatever you choose to use, and then stick in your arm. By God, you got a grenade sit right there anytime. Yeah, it's kind of like when I see metal moving, or you can make it move, or the wind can make it move. It just, there's something about, goes to something deep down inside me wants to find and understand perpetual motion, and that's like a goal of mine. And so on my journey still today, I've never found it. But that doesn't stop me from looking for it. crack myself up. I get so excited. It's so nice to be excited. And I get excited over the smallest things. It's a junk pile, for criminy sakes, in most people's eyes, but to me it's treasure. Put a spin on it for you if you want. You ready?